Tuesday edition of the National Briefing with me, Kelly Nash. Hope you had a great weekend. I did. My football team won college football game, and then I had beautiful weather, so I went like full Bushwick, like it was Caddyshack. I'm swimming, I'm golfing, and I'm tennising. I had just an awesome weekend, but I also stayed very glued to the news. And one of the biggest news stories, I think, is Donald Trump, Truth Social post demanding some answers because he's basically saying, I get this information from Pfizer and Moderna and the drug companies that the vaccinations went fantastic and are continuing to do amazing things. And then I hear from my friend Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and others who say, no, they're lying to you. So he wants the truth, and good for him. He should get the truth. I happen to agree with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and those who would say that the vaccines are not working, specifically the COVID vaccination. And I have to say Donald Trump made a massive error. You know, I hate calling out the president because I love Donald Trump. He's my second favorite president of all time. Ronald Reagan still being number one. Donald Trump's number two. But Donald Trump was wrong when he shut the country down. I'll take you back to April of 2020. This is a guy named Dr. Dan Erickson. He owns a clinic out in California. This press conference that he had got him banned from YouTube and other social media outlets for a while. But everything he said at the time was true and is truer, if possible, today.
When I look at the basic tenets that we know of microbiology, and I say, do we need to still shelter in place? Our answer is emphatically no. Do we need businesses to be shut down? Emphatically no. Do we need to test them and get them back to work? Yes, we do. The secondary effects that we went over, the child abuse, alcoholism, loss of revenue, all these are, in our opinion, a significantly more detrimental thing to society than a virus that is proven similar in nature to the seasonal flu we have every year.
In fact, it was originally called the coronavirus. That is actually the COVID-19 is in that family of coronaviruses, as is the flu, which is why so many people made that comparison, which when you said it's like the flu, people would absolutely lose their minds. We've never seen anything like this before. Just scientifically illiterate blowhards all over social media and possibly at your local cocktail parties, letting you know that they know nothing. It is very much like the flu. And we've been studying the flu for decades, and we're not even close to a vaccination for the flu. We never had the audacity to call it a flu vaccine. We used to call it a flu shot because you'd get that and you hope that they had picked the right strain for that year for where we lived, that this is going to be the dominant strain and it will, an introduction into your immune system will help a lot of people fight it off. That's what the flu shot was. It was not a vaccine. A vaccine would prevent it. It's not preventing anything. All right. Now, Jacqueline Howard, I got to tip the hat to her. If you're not familiar with her, she's one of the health reporters on CNN. She's reporting on an op-ed piece from a bunch of people who were basically fired from the CDC, as well as other quote-unquote health experts. They came out with their own op-ed piece, and Jacqueline's going to sell this really, really hard. So, Jacqueline, you're saying that the health experts are very concerned with what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing?
Oh, yeah, Pamela. And, these former leaders in this op-ed condemn nearly every action Kennedy Jr. has taken so far this year. They write about concerns around how he has fired thousands of health workers, how he has downplayed the importance of vaccinations during the measles outbreak. They also say they worry about how he has cited flawed research and how he's made inaccurate statements. They argue that this could lead to impacting public health. It could lead to limited access to health care for vulnerable people. It could lead to fewer resources for low-income families, fewer resources for community health clinics and state and local health departments.
Boy, that's really damning, isn't it, Jacqueline? Again, I just want to make sure I understand that the people who were fired at the CDC are writing an op-ed piece saying that they're very concerned that they were fired from the CDC. Interesting, very interesting. So let me take you to the former head of the CDC. This is a man who was also fired, but wasn't fired in this wave, but the original wave when Joe Biden cleaned out the people who thought that the COVID vaccine maybe not in the best interest. His name is Dr. Robert Frey. Dr. Robert Frey appeared over the weekend with Chris Cuomo talking. Now, this is the current data that he is looking at. Let's see what, we're not going to call him a quack, are we, the former head of the CDC? We're going to trust the science. What does Mr. Science, Dr. Robert Frey, say about the vaccine now?
The data is that these vaccines do not prevent infection, that where they have benefit on clinical disease is those individuals that are at risk for bad clinical outcome. And those are disproportionately people over the age of 65 or people with significant comorbidities. So I think I'm very comfortable. These vaccines really never belong to being routinely utilized in the broader population.
There you go. The broader population, the majority of people under the age of 65 should have never even had one of these vaccinations. And we know it doesn't stop the spread because we know, I'm assuming you know at least 10 people who've gotten the vaccine and the boosters and they continue to get COVID. If you look at the data, they're actually more likely to get COVID than those who didn't take the vaccine. On top of it, when they hear these stories over here from Jacqueline Howard and everybody at CNN and the op-ed pieces that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is concerned about the vaccination schedules for children. Okay. If you are under the age of 45, you probably had either 6 or 7 vaccines, depending on what year you were born between 1960 and 1980. 6 or 7 vaccinations. If you're old or younger than that, you've had up to 54 vaccinations. Now, he's saying the kids today statistically are sicker. Statistically, there's more visits to the emergency rooms for illness. There's more people being hospitalized for illnesses that are under the age of 40 than at any time in history. Could it be the vaccine schedules? I'll give you a great example. Rotavirus. You get a vaccine now for rotavirus shortly after you're born. The rotavirus vaccine, I'm just reading this from Wikipedia. It currently prevents about 15 to 34% of the people, that's their estimates, from developing the rotavirus. What the hell kind of vaccine only prevents 15 to 34%? And what is the damage that it's doing? That's the question. Maybe I'm a little more sensitive than most. I am the father of an autistic child who was born in 1993. And at that point, that's when the vaccinations were going off the charts. It was just needle after needle after needle. Could that have been part of the reason why autism now is 1 in, 60? 1 out of every 60 children has autism. When you go back to the 1970s, it was like 1 in every 10,000. What changed? I'm not saying that it is the vaccines. I'm saying, why are you so afraid that people want to investigate it? That's the bottom line. Let the scientists investigate it. But right now, they can't investigate it. They can't get funding for it. Because Pfizer, Moderna, the big pharma companies, they are the number one provider of your news, whether you're looking at Fox News or MSNBC. Number one sponsors, big pharma. Number one contributors to political campaigns, big pharma. The list goes on and on with the influence that these people have at Big Pharma. They don't want their cash cow shut off, and the cash cow is the vaccinations. The fact that Robert F. Kennedy is challenging it is a good thing for America. Let's go Maha.